Yeah, while we're on the subject of shadows, I'm going to show you how to do what's called a cast shadow. Now you might think, why so many shadows? Well, just kind of getting there is a good way to kind of walk you through steps for learning how to do something, and these steps are important. I'm going to go ahead and make this duck a little smaller, scale him down, um, and we're just going to cast a shadow of the duck out here across the dune. Like light hitting in from the left side, casting a shadow kind of back there. So here's how you do it. It's different from a drop shadow. We don't want him to look like he's lifted up. We want it to look like the shadow's cast across the sand. I'm going to make a copy of that layer. And we're going to use this underneath layer as our cast shadow. So watch this. I'm going to go to Edit, Transform, and use something called Distort. And it brings up that same box that we had with Scale, but it lets me, watch this. I'm going to lay that duck out however I want the shadow to cast. Bring it this direction. You can go whatever direction you want. I'm going to have it kind of go that way. Double click when you like it. You can move it around, get it the way you want it. Okay. Now I'm going to lock the layers like we did before. I'm going to fill it in black. Now, you guys, we could continue to go up to Edit, Fill, and choose, black or whatever. But if you've got whatever color is in your foreground color box down here, there's a shortcut. On a Mac, it's Option Delete. Windows, I think it's Alt Delete. But look what it is. And by locking the transparent pixels, we filled that black. It still doesn't look right, but I'm going to unlock it. I'm going to go ahead and blur it. So all those other rules apply here. This is one reason why it's good to learn the old school method, because it forces you to go through these steps. I'm going to blur it. I'm going to put it on multiply, and I'm going to lower the opacity some. But it's still not quite right. I mean, it's pretty good. A cast shadow, what I really want it to do, I want it to get I want it to be darker underneath the duck and get lighter as it goes back. So I want it to hide the shadow as it goes away from me. Okay, or I want it to fade out, however you want to think about that. So this lets me bring back the layer mask concept that we talked about earlier. So and I need to add noise to this too. Put a little bit of noise on it. All right, I'm going to put less on there. Okay. All right, so I want the shadow to fade out as it gets further away from the duck. I'm on the shadow layer. I'm going to add a layer mask. Remember, it adds that second box there. And I'm going to use the gradation tool. Now, when I use the gradient tool, I'm going to check my control panel and make sure everything is right. It says normal. It's on this left linear gradation. It's on the upper left-hand choice here. I'm going to click where I want the gradient to start and let go where I want it to stop. I can drag it farther if I want it to go farther. I can start at a closer location if I want it to be darker underneath him. But look how nice that looks. I clicked about right here. I dragged about right there. And now it kind of fades out as it goes away from me. So it's kind of a realistic looking cast shadow. So we made a copy of the duck. We distorted him out the way we wanted him to be cast. We locked it and filled it in black. We unlocked it and blurred it, put some noise on it. Then we added a layer mask and painted a gradient on that layer mask. And again, as the gradient got darker, as it went towards black, it hid more and more of what was on this layer. Didn't delete it, it just hid it. I can delete that layer mask and show you the full shadow again without any of it being hidden. So remember, if you add a layer mask, it adds this extra box. Now, sometimes students will accidentally click on this box, the left one. And then they'll come over here with their gradient and then they'll panic because it doesn't do what they expect. Like, oh, well, it's because they painted the gradient right over the top of their shadow. You have to make sure you're painting on the mask. And you know you're on the mask because it's the one that's been activated when you click on that square. So again, grab your gradient tool, click and drag, fade your gradient out however you want it. You can do it over and over again until it does what you like. And there you have it. Real nice looking cast shadow, believe me. When you start retouching and stuff, you will use this constantly. Shadows are the difference between something looking like it was just dropped into a scene or if it actually belongs there.